Okay, so we've got our diver who is user controlled, and we've got a fish that just swims left to right. And we've currently also got the background. What we'd like is when the diver hits the fish, he scores a point, and then we send him back to the beginning and he can catch another fish. So let's do that in a simplified form to begin with. We'll build it up. The first thing we should look at now, I think, before we go any further, is we need to set a start point for the diver. So when the green flag is clicked, we are going to say go to this point, which is the place I've put him at. You can see the numbers are there, same as these numbers. So go to there, and he rotates an awful lot during the game, so we want him to begin pointing in that direction. So that's when the green flag is clicked, do that. It's always good practice to set up your start point before you get into your forever loop. Another thing that we might like is we might like to have a variable. We'd like to have a score up here, and a score is something which changes through the game, and so it's called a variable. If we click on variables, we've not done this before, make a variable, not make a list, make a variable, and let's just simply call this score, and OK. So now we have a score of 0, and we can refer to score whenever we want to in the game. Notice if I uncheck that box, score disappears. So now score is visible. We have a command here which says show the variable. So you might, in some games, you might like to have the score isn't visible, and then when the score goes up, you might make it so you can see. In this game, I'd like to see the score all the time. So now we need to deal with the diver eating the fish. When the green flag's clicked, we'll send him to the beginning. We might also, at the beginning of the game, it's a good idea to set your variable, because when you run this game once, this variable will go up, and then when you run it again, the variable will begin where it left off. So if you eat 4 fish, then the next time you play the game, your score begins on 4. So let's send him to the beginning, set the variable of score to 0 at the start. Now, in our forever loop, we have him moving 5 steps, and he's controlled by the arrow keys. We want another thing now. We want him to work out whether he's touching the fish. So if we'll just pop it on the end, notice all these sit at the same level. They're all side by side, and they're all within the forever loop. So if, and it's sensing the very first one here, touching, and remember we named our fish, fish 1, the name is down there if you forget. So if touching fish 1, we can say we'd like him to go back to his start position, and we'd like the score to go up. So if touching fish 1, we can say, let's deal with the go here. So go to start position, point in that direction. We would also like to change score by 1. We could make this by -1, so we could start with a high number and come down. Sometimes that's a useful thing. In this case, we would like to add 1 to the score. So change score by 1, go to the beginning, point in that direction. Might be nice if he doesn't do that straight away, if we just take a second to enjoy the fact that he's eating the fish, and then go back. So now if we play the game, got our diver moving around, and if we try and catch the, we missed it. Try and catch the fish, there we go. Score went up by 1, and then we sent him back to the beginning. Just one little tweak I'd like to make to this. The score went back by 1. It was nice that he waited before he went. He magically reappeared at the top. Send him back there, point in that direction. I'm also just going to make him wait once he's got there for a second, and then set off again. So, missed him. Come on. Okay, so got the fish, sent them back to the beginning, away we go again. Quite a simple game. There are many layers of complexity you can add. It's not the best arcade game you've ever seen or video game, but we have the basics now. We've got a setup, so we have all our variables sorted and our start position. Then we've got user interactivity, and then we have got how do you score points. There's more we can add, and in the next video we'll look at how to add some more complexity to our program.